Twitter is not an alt-right chat room. Twitter's not
not 4chan or some shit like that.
And it's not a liberal website.
Yeah. Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Manic, spitting sounds of manic depressing. Going through. We're done with sports. Let's go up here real quick and let us talk about.
Do you want to do a new intro for if you want to make this separate?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, I don't do intros ever.
All right, great.
We're just talking. We're just riffing.
So yeah, so I thought this was interesting enough to bring up, even though it's not sports related, because it can be, or it is incredibly controversial because it's embedded in this idea of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Right. Which the concept in itself can be sort of murky because people hear that and it means different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
But in particular, I think in this case, because Twitter actually was doing some things that people were getting a little bit weary about that kind of looked like censorship, and particularly about politics, right? Because after the whole, Russian bot thing and them like really having influence on our election, the misinformation, Twitter made it a priority to try and clean some of that stuff up, as well as these other companies that got called out pretty heavily. But in this case, they took a stance, right? And I think it's easy to see what I would call like the moral argument, right, of why this can be handled in a different way. Why Twitter maybe should take it down because it's morally correct, it's ethical. Because he said something hurtful about, or he hurt someone's feelings in like their moment of like the lowest of low.
Yeah.
This husband lost his wife, and this person is talking shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not okay, right?
No.
Most people can agree with that. However, in the bigger sphere of freedom of speech, like everything you don't like just because you don't like it doesn't mean it needs to be censored. So it seems like Twitter and Jack Dorsey, that they're kind of seems like they're drawing that line for real now. Like this side of like complete making up bullshit that can be harmful to the mass populace. Okay, we might have to actually take that down or suspend accounts and stuff like that. But on this side, if it's just like inappropriate, we can't deal with that. But like we have to make this space at least somewhat like free. Otherwise, then Twitter isn't Twitter anymore, right?
Yeah, there's a problem with Jack and Twitter in general, and I think a lot of people have recognized it. Now, see, the thing is there are like I don't even know how many tweets get sent on a daily basis. Millions upon millions of tweets get sent on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And there is a perception, and I don't have the numbers. I've read articles that have tried to do numbers on this, and I just don't know how possible it is to even do numbers on the. Hold on, let me turn my lamp on real quick so everyone can see my busted face better. How Twitter, I don't know how someone could even do the numbers on something like this. But there has been a long time a large group of people that feel like Jack and Twitter in general allow hate speech from the right to go unchecked like all the time, essentially. But then if you have hate speech going, not even necessarily hate speech. I mean, I've seen examples where it's like, this isn't really hate speech. You know what I mean? But it could be something like, I'll slap the shit out you or something. And then this person gets suspended, blah, 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 which is fair, right?
Sure.
You're threatening bodily harm. But then on the other side, the person that I will slap the shit out of you was directed to called this person the N-word, right? And that person is fine and good. You know what I mean? That person doesn't get his tweet censored at all, or doesn't, is not censored at all. Now, this goes to your point, right, about like the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. This person who's calling this person the N-word, hate speech is like, that is the line, right? That is hard to draw. How does that fall under the freedom of speech? Is hate speech allowed under your freedom? You know what I mean?
So it all depends, right? So so in the case, I want to say that like both sides will say the other side gets away with it more,
For sure.
right?
Hmm.
And I don't think there's any way to prove either or, because the only people that can really prove that is be Twitter themselves.
Yep.
They run a report on every single tweet, right? And then they're just not going to release that information
Yeah.
because it's just an ugly report either way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I would say like an example you gave, if that person would have reported that tweet as inappropriate and offensive, it probably would have got flagged. If
Hmm.
the tweet would have been taken down, maybe the person does whatever, but you can't retaliate.
Yeah.
You know, like the two wrongs don't equal the right kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as far as like this idea of freedom of speech, right? The First Amendment, part of the First Amendment, the freedom of speech clause protects you against repercussions from the government,
Hmm.
right? Not from private entities or
Hmm.
individuals or anything like that. I say Donald Trump's an idiot. I can't get locked up by the
Correct.
federal government for saying that. But if I work for a company that's like, we don't agree with this stance, and especially if you live in a state where you can fire whoever you want for whatever reason, then it's their right to do whatever they want. It's their company, right? Now, uh, you can make arguments like if I'm like if censorship is based off of some sort of hate, like you're not letting black people talk versus letting white people talk. Everything gets like very nuanced. There's everything, all this exists in the shades of gray areas in life.
Hmm.
But as far as like this idea that you are free to say, yeah, you're free to say whatever you want, and you won't go to jail for it for the most part, unless you're like threatening bodily
Yeah.
harm, right? And not even just saying like I'm gonna punch you, right? Because like that's not gonna, someone doesn't go to jail for that.
Hmm.
But like if you're saying I'm gonna punch you, then like it seems like you might actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but but yeah, but you're not free of consequence.
Correct.
That's not what that means. Like
Correct.
when in particular when people, the dominant males of the dominant culture, say I woke up in a free country. Yeah, but no, you didn't though,
Yeah.
right? Because jails exist here.
Not only that, but even that concept is imperfect because you're only as free as your environment allows you to be free. You know what I mean? So, for example, there was the video, I don't know if you saw recently, of the one chick. She's like they're at a grocery. She's in the grocery market, and she doesn't have a mask. And everybody tells her to leave. Essentially, everyone just starts like cursing her out and yelling at her to leave because she doesn't have a mask, and everyone else has a mask. Yeah, you're in a free country. You know what I mean, right? But to your point, you're not free of consequence. So you walked into this place freely without a mask, and these are the consequences that you're now going to deal with. So yeah, you live in a free country, but it's only as free as your environment allows it to be. And to your point earlier, to clarify too, it doesn't protect you from private entities. That's what the argument actually is when it comes to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all of these things. It's
Right.
that they are not the government. So they're not the government. They're not news media. They're not Fox News or CNN or anything. They're not whatchamacallit. They're not. I don't think they're regulated under like what's the FCC. You know what I mean? So there is no real censorship that they're doing. They're censoring on their platform. You know what I mean? So for example, if I on our YouTube channel, we get bots that post every time. Sometimes I leave them, sometimes I delete them. Deleting them is technically censorship. You know what I mean? That would
Oh
be
yeah,
technically censoring something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If I leave the website up and somebody posts something that's angry, I am deleting. If I delete that, that's censorship. Technically, I shouldn't be allowed to do it, right? According to how people view the First Amendment, the freedom of speech,
yeah,
I would be in the wrong there. But it's my website. I'm allowed to leave up whatever I want to leave up because it's my fucking website.
yeah.
If I was big enough, it'd probably be a problem because I'm small. No one would know or care. You know what I mean? Because this houses millions of people, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of that, this is where it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
mean,
I mean?
they are regulated in different ways by a bunch of different bureaucracies, um, but yeah, but it's sort of like finding that fine line because this Twitter is not an alt-right chat room. Twitter's not
Not
a,
4chan
a
or some shit like that.
and it's not a liberal website.
Yeah.
It is just a website for, it's basically live blogging.
Yeah.
So, and so they don't want to cross a line where one side is favored than the other, right? And that is their choice. But it's just like it's your choice to participate in the media outlet.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a Twitter account. You don't have to read the tweets. And for that matter, you don't have to acknowledge anything anyone ever says about you or any loved one. Yeah, it sucks, and in a perfect world, none of it would happen. But like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it should be stopped forever.
So what do you?
Because
Okay, I'm
in
sorry.
the end, no, but it's just in the end, like us having a certain level of freedom of speech is going to be overwhelmingly good and have some bad. But the bad but you have to be able to deal with both. The good outweighs the bad. And this is all things that like, these are these really broad ideas that we do such a shitty job of teaching people. So they grow up thinking that freedom is whatever they interpret it to be to themselves. And then whenever that expectation isn't met, they freak out. So we don't do a great job of explaining this is what actual American freedom is, right? And part of it, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. There's no big brother sending everything down. I think part of it, though, is like for the dominant culture, you don't really have to know because you said it. You decide what that is at any point. For the rest of us, it's like, it doesn't matter. We get to fit in where we fit in.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that so like the United States Constitution is a social contract, right? And when you decide to live together in a society and following this contract, you have to actually give up some of your civil liberties. All of this only works if we're willing to sacrifice for each other. And like this is only highlighted by the pandemic, where something as simple as you putting on a fucking face mask can drive you so crazy. Yo, imagine if these people have real problems. Like, what would they do with themselves?
Yeah, which is to the point, your point about the dominant culture. You know what I mean? When encountered with something, a regulation that's something like we've been dealing with, like almost. I mean, it's not as bad as stop and frisk, but imagine if that was a thing that you were dealing with on that side, there'd be fucking anarchy.
Yeah, like for them, this is you are infringing on something. You are oppressing me.
Yeah.
But that's not it. That's all that's being asked of them is to sacrifice a little bit of personal comfort in a short term so that we can all get past it and then everyone can be okay.
Correct.
But because the pandemic really won't affect them in the same way. And I don't think most of them are thinking this out consciously. It's just what's happening subconsciously. Well, this isn't really a big deal. I shouldn't have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And they interpret it as I woke up in a free country. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And to their point, that's basically what they've always done anyway.
Correct.
But it just fucking sucks because it highlights that like this kind of the truth that as far as we have come, we still have the same problems, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, sometimes the little bit of progress we make holds us back from reaching the heights that we need to. And in 2020, a white woman can't wear a mask to save thousands of people's lives for a few months. Just like in the same way in the 1930s, nobody gave a fuck about black people having the right to vote.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're voting, that means that my vote won't count as much and therefore blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Your life quality goes down a little bit and that's way too much for you ever.
No, I think that's beautifully put. That's very well put. What I would ask is, so what's your opinion on Alex Jones? I've talked about Alex Jones a few times because I fucking hate Alex Jones, but
yeah, he's the worst. So the thing is, like, if he owns his website, right? That's part of this the necessary evils of having certain liberties is that he's going to be allowed to also say what he wants to say, and he has no repercussion because he is one of those members of dominant cultures. He can fund his own sites and do his own thing. But that's when it becomes because this is what it divulges to a lot, Brian, is these conversations like, well, then what should the government do about it? Nah, fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
What should you do about it?
Yeah.
If you know, if you want to know something's real, do the goddamn research.
Mm-hmm.
Takes with this shit, it takes 5 fucking minutes to find a credible website that can provide you the information that you're looking for.
Yep.
And then now you know. And then you can say, okay, well, this guy's full of shit. I'm going to ignore him. And then whenever somebody brings him up, I can be like, hey, well, you know that that's not true, right? And here's all the reasons why. And
but should he have...
Person,
my fault, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say if that person still doesn't want to listen, fine. Then this person is lost anyway.
Yeah. Should he have been censored on YouTube, though? Should he have been taken down from YouTube?
Well, yeah. Well, so the thing is, I don't want to, I'm a liberal person.
Yeah.
Right? But like, of course I am. Right? I'm an ethnic minority, born in a giant city, a low income family. Like that's just the recipe for a fucking liberal.
Yeah.
So do I think it's okay that people produce false information all the time? No. I unequivocally think it's detrimental to society, even to the point where like Jason Concepcion saying some bullshit things about basketball can get me so frustrated because like people look at you as if you know what you're talking about. You're shaping the zeitgeist. You are shaping the American fucking conceptual thought. And if you are putting out misinformation, whether it's purposeful or not, it's harmful.
Yeah.
Like, there's no argument against that. But like I said, us having freedom of speech means that there's going to be times where people are going to do that. So if he's on his own website and he wants to do that, he should have the right to do that. However, if YouTube decides that this is harmful, this doesn't represent what we do here at Alphabet, or Google, then they should have the right to take them off. Yeah.
And the thing is, I do want to point out Alex Jones is just one that they took off. Yeah. It's not like they went on a spree of taking off anyone that's like Alex Jones. You know what I mean? You could still find a bunch of other channels. Listen, in a weird way, we are like Alex Jones. It's just me and you providing our opinion. So ready. The difference being that we're not obviously stating it as fact. Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Manic, spitting sounds of manic depressing. Going through